on today's episode of Timeless Wisdom.
As a question that I've wanted to raise with you, if it applies to you or if you have experiences or thoughts on it, and that I see periodically, that fascinates me. And I'm coming at this from a number of ways, from a number of directions. And that is high school love and high school sweethearts who marry, or high school sweethearts who don't marry.
That's coming up on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. And it starts right now.
Precious metals dealers come and go. This is Nick Grovich, president of AmFed Coin and Bullion. We've stood the test of time since 1983. With the flurry of coin and bullion dealers coming and going, how do you know who to trust and what to buy? At AmFed Coin and Bullion, we value educated consumers. We want to alert you to good bullion buys in the market and help you steer clear of the tricks and bad deals. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review. 800-221-7694 or AmericanFederal.com.
Welcome to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Hear thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs. And to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles, go to DennisPrager.com.
I'm old-fashioned. I like two sexes. Yeah, and another thing, all of a sudden I don't like being married to what is known as a new woman. I want a wife, not a competitor. Competitor.
Talk about a bit, this crying in the morning thing, this depression, let's get that fixed.
That's what men think, isn't it?
What?
Unless you've got the answer, unless you can say, oh, I know this bloke in the Essex Road who could fix that, then there's no point bothering.
How do you rate women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
I love him, and I don't care what you think. I love him for the man he wants to be, and I love him for the man that he almost is.
What do people have rows about?
Money, sex, money. He wants, she doesn't want.
She wants, he doesn't want?
Women have always been a big problem to me, Dr. Fussband. Are you listening, Doctor?
Yes. Go on.
I never, ever tire of that opening. And do you know, would you please play the Essex Road? Can you just isolate? for whatever reason, that's the one that gets me each week. And the end. But go on. I love them. Do you know there's a book? What is it? Let's fix this thing. It's delivered so well. Welcome to the male-female hour every Wednesday. Are we up to Wednesday already? It's really disconcerting. It does fly. Anyway, it's better to fly than to labor life, obviously. Anyway, every second hour of the 3-hour show, the Dennis Prager Show, on Wednesday is devoted to a very honest description of men and women. I received a letter from a deeply religious woman, in her case Jewish, a 28-year-old. It moved me, and she said, I have just discovered you here in the New York area, where we're on the Apple, and I was delighted, and love your show, and asked me some questions, and then noted that there were things, having grown up in a cloistered world, as it were, in her religiosity, things that she heard on the male-female hour, which were a little hard to hear for someone who had grown up so sheltered, but she thought it was extremely useful. And we are very respectful on this hour of all the backgrounds that people come from. And I am very well aware of that. And just know that. But at the same time, we humans are meant to grow up. And growing up means awareness of life. So it's just one of the mottos that we use. Now, today will not be of that variety in any event, but as a question that I've wanted to raise with you, if it applies to you or if you have experiences or thoughts on it, and that I see periodically, that fascinates me. And I'm coming at this from a number of ways, from a number of directions, and that is high school love and high school sweethearts who marry, or high school sweethearts who don't marry. And I'll tell you one of the interesting things that has provoked this as a subject. How often you will read that two people, well, let's say, forget even divorced, or certainly divorced, but in late age, either divorced or widowed, and then will seek out a person 50, 60 years later whom they had a deep love for or crush on in high school and then marry. Which suggests to me a number of things. One, never, ever underestimate the power of what they call puppy love, which is why I don't use the term. In fact, I'm watching now, to be very open about my own life, I'm watching now my son and my stepson, who are very close in age, one 17, one close to 17, both of them deeply in love, and both with wonderful girls, I'm happy to say. I don't for 1 second assume that this love is less real than two 30-year-olds who meet. I watch them interact, and it is powerful. It is not only powerful because love is so powerful, and that type of love may be the most powerful force on earth. I used to think that hatred was more powerful, but I think love is. I'm not sure, but it's not a debate I want to have. They're not quantifiable. But love, we all know how powerful love is. And I watch them interact with their girlfriends. I watch the girlfriends interact with them. This is the real thing. To dismiss this as, well, they'll get out of it is just invalid. They may or they may not get married, obviously. There is no way to know, but you can't dismiss high school love as kids enthralled with one another. It can happen, obviously, but that's true for 40-year-olds who could be enthralled with one another, and it's not deep. And it could just be a combination of lust and excitement. Of course that's true. But it has the added power of being the first love. Pierwsza любовь, as Turgenev put it in his famous novel, First Love. And Pierwsza любовь, first love, is this added power in life. So when I read of two widows or two divorcees, or one divorced and often one never married, you have that too. And they're now 78 years old, because if they went to high school together, they'll be just about the same age. And she thought of him her whole life, or he thought of her his whole life, and is now a grandfather of 6 kids. And looks her up, and he sees the 17-year-old when he looks at the 78-year-old. It's also a fascinating aspect to this power. So I am curious. Now wait, here's the curiosity. I remember on the other side. I remember, for example, I was a member of a Rotary Club, for a regional Rotary Club, for a number of years. Wonderful years, by the way, that I was. And I remember a couple of couples, wonderful people, both, who divorced. And in both cases, they were, in fact, high school sweethearts. And their claim, to the extent that they were, open enough to speak, was, yes, of course we were high school sweethearts, but, we grew up. And we went in different directions. And we made a mistake marrying our high school sweetheart. So what is your take on this? Have you an experience with this? Do you believe high school sweethearts, do you think any rule can be made? Great idea to marry? Bad idea to marry? You should see the world. You should experience others. What advice would you give if you were a parent like myself, with a stepson and a son who were deeply in love at the age of 17? 1-8-Prager 776. Do you pine for somebody from high school? Do you think there may be some of you who feel you blew it? There was this terrific guy or the terrific girl in high school, but hey, I went off my own way to college, or I went off my own way into, experimenting with sex or experimenting with whatever, and, I thought it was too early. Because we also added to all of these questions about the high school love and puppy love and the high school sweethearts is the question of, is it really, with all, they say that people who marry over 30 are less likely to be divorced than people who marry in their 20s. People who marry over 25 are less likely to divorce than people marry under 25. So what do? Do you tell everybody who's dating seriously and deeply in love at 20, you better break up? Look at the statistics. What's your attitude toward high school sweethearts? That's essentially the question here. Because I guess the arguments can be made in so many directions, but I would be very, very interested in your takes on these matters. Let's go to Phoenix, Arizona, and Brenda. Hi, Brenda. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis. This is Brenda. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Our situation was we didn't go to the same high school. We went to the same church youth group. And Tom was, we were both around 8th grade, and we dated all the way through freshman in college. Both poor. He was Protestant, I was Catholic, so that was a problem. I'm 55, so that was really a problem back then. And we both went our separate ways. He got married, had 4 kids. I got married, had 2 kids. I got divorced and found him on classmates.com. And we got back together and have been married for the last 5 years.
She's a living poster girl for what I was just talking about. We'll be back in a moment. 1-8-PRAGER-776.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Rising interest rates, stock volatility, out-of-control inflation. People are concerned about what the future holds financially. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's no better time than the present to move a portion of your IRA into precious metals. You should know there's a right and a wrong way to set up your precious metals IRA. Mistakes could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS fines. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, a subject I've wanted to talk about on the Male-Female Hour for years now, just never got around to it. The reality and power of high school love should never be dismissed. And the last caller was a perfect example. It's a 55-year-old woman, married, 4 kids, and pursued after she was divorced the guy she loved in her high school years. There were different high schools that she pointed out, but she knew from her church group. And now they're married 5 years. So they got married at 50. So you graduate high school about 18. So we're talking about 32 years later. And as I pointed out, I look at my son and stepson, both one 17, one approaching 17, who are deeply in love with 2 girls, whom I adore, by the way, thank God. And I don't poo-poo this for a moment. My parents met at 17 and were married for 69 years, together for 73. So we have to figure out, if there is anything to figure out, and I think there is, our attitudes towards this, because I know the statistics as well as anybody about, early marriage, early divorce, and all of this stuff. But it's not like the people who deferred marriage did that great either, statistically. Maybe it's the right person and more than the right age. That's a good line. Maybe that's really what it is. It's not the age; it's the person. And why do you think you'll make the first choice all that much better at 30 than you will at 20? You're more mature at 30? Maybe, yes. Usually that's the case. I agree. But it doesn't mean you're wiser in picking the right person for you. It could be. But it's very easy to fall in love with an empty bag at 18, at 17, at 16. I agree. But it's certainly not unheard of to do so at 30. So I find this to be a compelling subject, and now let's continue here. Now, this is really ironic. There was Brenda in Phoenix who loved Tom in Phoenix, and now here's a Tom in Phoenix. Tom, you're not the one with Brenda, are you?
No, I'm
okay, fine.
I thought that was pretty ironic myself.
Yeah, it's a bit ironic, yes.
Yes. No, this is actually Squeaky Chair Guy, Tom. I don't know if you remember that call, but anyway.
Yes. Squeaky Church?
What's that?
What was that? Oh, Squeaky Chair. Yeah. That's what I remember. Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, I'm living both sides of your thesis. It's pretty funny. The woman I married, we had known each other since 15. Now we were at the end of high school when we started our relationship, and we were divorced 2 years into our marriage. Now 14 years later, actually 2 years ago, I looked up my first true love, and we reconnected 2 years ago, and I am now have been presented the opportunity, and I've decided I am going to pursue that woman, and I will marry her because she is every bit as dazzling and wonderful as I remember.
Isn't that something? So why didn't you date her then if she was your real love?
I did date her then, but I was 16, and I grew up in a dysfunctional home, and I didn't know. I was scared, basically. I've been reflecting on this quite a bit, but I do know the end result. I mean, I do have advice for people, and especially for somebody like me. What I ended up doing was, in high school, I was very pure. There was no physical relationships with women. Towards the end of high school and afterwards, I ended up falling in love with the physical relationship.
I got you. Let me ask you a question here. When you see this woman now, do you see her half as 16 and half at 45?
Probably 3/4 and 1/4.
3/4, 16.
Yes, because I see,
okay. All right. Let me react to that, and thank you for the call, because we have so many. I want to get to as many as possible. Here is just a thought I want to throw out. I have no idea if it's true, okay, because I didn't marry a high school sweetheart, so I can't relate to this. But there may be an advantage here, because we know of the statistical disadvantages of marrying someone whom you met so early in life. But there may be an advantage, a psychological advantage, that you maintain that picture of the woman. I'm talking the woman, and talking about the man, about seeing the woman, because the visual is such a powerful factor in male love, or male attraction. Let's put it that way. And maybe there is something to that you retain that picture from when you met. I think that there is some truth to that. I'm just thinking aloud here. It's a risk you take, but it's one I've gambled on in my radio career, because it's easy to come out with a brand new thought that isn't too bright. But I do believe that there may be an advantage that way. I think that when my father saw my mother, and I admit that my mother was a beautiful woman till the end at 89. And I mean it. I'll put pictures up and you'll see. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it, and I have no ego riding on this, obviously. It's my mother, my late mother. But I do also believe that he saw her the way he met her when he looked at her, just as he saw her at 85 and 75 and 65 and 55 and so on. And so there is that added factor. I'm saying to you that the high school love should not be dismissed. It's easy to do so, and here's an example, perhaps, not necessarily of dismissal, but of worry. Louisville, Kentucky, and Clark. Hi, Clark. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Dennis, I love your show. I had to go out and buy a smartphone in large part so I could listen to it live, because I can't listen to it live here locally anymore.
Right, I played later in the day, yes.
Yeah, so it's great to hear you all live.
Great, thank you.
My wife and I have been married for 21 years. We started dating when we were juniors in high school. She was my first girlfriend. She'd had a few boyfriends before me. But we stayed together. We dated 6 years and got married after we graduated college. And that had been the plan pretty much from when we were freshmen in college. My son has been dating a girl for about a year. He's a sophomore now. They started dating when they were freshmen.
Wait, in college or high school?
No, I'm sorry, in high school.
Okay.
In high school. They've been together now a little over a year. They are madly in love with each other. I don't discount their love. My concern is, number one, that they look to us now as, well, mom and dad got married, and they dated in high school, so that's what we're supposed to do. Or two, since they started dating really even 2 years before us, that they're not going to want to wait till after college to get married. They may want to get married at 18. And I don't know if there's anything wrong with it or not. It's kind of not my family tradition. We finish school before we get married.
Right.
So
all right. Let me talk.
Concerned about that.
Yeah. Stay on with me on your smartphone. We'll talk about this in a moment. You're listening to the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Rising interest rates, stock volatility, out-of-control inflation. People are concerned about what the future holds financially. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's no better time than the present to move a portion of your IRA into precious metals. You should know there's a right and a wrong way to set up your precious metals IRA. Mistakes could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in IRS fines. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com. That's AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Baby, I'll try to love again, but I know first cut is the deepest. Baby, I know the first cut is the deepest. Though my heart might tell me so,
you're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, the Male-Female Hour. This issue that I'm raising about high school sweethearts and the significance that I do attach to high school love raises another question, which we won't deal with today because I isolate the shows to the theme of that hour. But I'd like us to put down here the age question. Are you, we will ask one day, are you happy that you waited, and do you think people should deliberately wait until a certain age, like 30, 35, to get married? I used to think that. I no longer think that, as maybe inferable from the fact that I take high school love as seriously as I do. So we have here Clark in Louisville, Kentucky. And your son is how old now?
He just turned 16.
And his girlfriend?
She's 16 also. She'll be 17 this summer.
Do you like her?
Oh, yes. She's a sweet girl.
Okay. So they're thinking, in light of the fact that you and your wife got married again at what age?
Well, we got married at 22, right after college.
But you dated all of college?
We dated through the last 2 years
right.
of high school and through 4 years of college.
It seems to me that a guiding rule, and these rules are not ever really ironclad, but a guiding rule ought to be you marry when you can be self-supporting. I assume you were capable of self-supporting when you married your wife.
Yes, sir.
Exactly, which is the case in those days, and less so today, but it could be. And you say to your son, what is wrong with getting engaged while you're at college, perhaps? But then what you really are saying, and we love your girlfriend, and it has nothing to do with her, but you're saying you want the parents to support a married couple.
Right.
Which is not generally a good idea.
Right. Right.
Because part of what marriage is becoming responsible for another person, not having your parents responsible for another person. So I think that's an argument that you can make. It has nothing to do with taking the girl or the love seriously. Okay? All right. Good. Thank you very much. Welcome. See, that's what is so beautiful about marriage, is that you are now supposed to take care of somebody. Let me marry you and let our four parents take care of us is not the way I envision marriage, and it shouldn't be the way anybody does. So that would be, I think, an appropriate answer. All righty, let's go to Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Laura. Hello, Laura. Dennis Prager.
Hi.
Hi.
I was in love in high school, and we both came from...
Which is not too long ago.
No, it's not. Did you say how old I was?
No, you're 25. Okay.
So I was in love, and both of our families and just lots of people said, you're young, you're going to change a lot, don't even bother dating in high school. We were both from, conservative Christian families, and dating is sort of de-emphasized because you're going to get yourself in trouble and all this kind of stuff. So we didn't date, and we both went off and did our separate things, Bible school, missions, whatever, and we ended up getting married anyway at 21 and 22. So, I'm not, automatically pro marrying the person who you were with in high school, because it is true that some people change, but for us, we didn't change that much, and we still haven't changed a lot. So, I like my husband. I'm pretty glad I couldn't find anybody better. So.
So now all right. No, so now here's a great example. Then you were right. Then you picked the right guy. He picked the right girl. Yeah. You followed the adult advice and split up, and then I assume dated other men.
Actually, I didn't, but I certainly considered,
Did he date, I'm curious, whatever. Did he date other women?
No, actually, neither of us did, because I don't know if you're familiar with the courtship mentality.
I am indeed.
That was kind of where our families were coming from.
Right.
We're not real big on calling it courtship versus dating, but we both...
Well, so what then, if you weren't going to date, what was the advantage to breaking up? That you were just too young?
Yeah, just that why start a relationship that's a good friendship now that might just get us in trouble.
Right. So now, all right. So very quickly, in retrospect, do you think it was good that you separated for those years?
Actually, I probably was free to do things that I wouldn't have done because I wasn't focused on keeping my guy. So in retrospect, I feel like God wanted us together and he brought us back together.
Fair enough. Sounds perfect. Back in a moment. I'm Dennis Prager, the Male-Female Hour.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
Precious metals dealers come and go. This is Nick Grovich, president of AmFed Coin and Bullion. We've stood the test of time since 1983. With the flurry of coin and bullion dealers coming and going, how do you know who to trust and what to buy? At AmFed Coin and Bullion, we value educated consumers. We want to alert you to good bullion buys in the market and help you steer clear of the tricks and bad deals. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review. 800-221-7694 or AmericanFederal.com.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, the Male-Female Hour. It is about high school love, high school sweethearts. High school sweethearts makes it sound less serious than high school love. But in any event, my point is that high school love is very powerful, often the most powerful, when we see people 70 years later, 60 years later, 50 years later, dating after divorce or widowhood, dating their love, or the person they pined for in high school and looking them up at Facebook or at, what is that place did you graduate in, what is that? Classmates, yeah. And there are a lot of conclusions you can draw from all of this. One of them might be the very opposite of what, and I'm not intending really any conclusion. I have no agenda here other than to explore this issue. I often have an agenda, and I admit it to you, but I don't have one here. The only agenda really is to take it seriously, and not to assume that it is doomed because it's that young. Those are I look at my parents as an example. As I mentioned, met at 17 and were together for 73 years. We should all be so lucky and have the marriage that they had. At the same time, I have known couples who were high school sweethearts who simply both wonderful people and simply drifted apart. The best known couple in my high school senior class did divorce about 30 years later. And those of us who maintain any contact with our graduating fellow high school students were shocked. I mean, they were just inseparable in high school. And they had kids, and then they went on their ways. So, but that's of course true for people who marry at 30 and so on. In fact, second marriages apparently end up more in divorce than percentage-wise than first marriages. And those are obviously people well older than high school age. So one conclusion one might draw, incidentally, from this is don't let your high school kids date. I don't happen to have that view, and at least not in the society in which we live, where they go to school together. Maybe in separate schools it was much more possible, but it does happen. And frankly, I prefer that they date seriously than they have just hookup after hookup after hookup, and sexting and all the other things that are going on. And to learn monogamy and to learn fidelity at an early age, and to associate any physical intimacy, and I am opposed to the actual act of premarital sex, but not to premarital anything, and age is a factor as well. But to associate that with love and commitment at an early age is a healthy thing too. So these are things that challenge a lot of the thinking that is going on, but that's a good thing to do if the challenge is a legitimate one. Let's go to Dominic in Tampa, Florida. Dominic, Dennis Prager, thank you for calling.
How are you today?
I'm really well, thank you.
Well, I just called because I have a perspective on it in that I met my wife in grade school, and we dated for a short amount of time then. Granted, we, just kids, and then in high school we dated all through, from being 15 years old, essentially to, us being married to this day, be 12 years in December.
And it's gone well.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean.
So you're an advocate then.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
I think,
good.
I think there's no doubt that, I can't say that. Do you truly know what love is at, grade school, high school level? But I think as you get married, you grow with that individual. And
well, that's right. Well, thank you for that, Dominic, and may you have many more happily married years. That's another advantage here, is that if it is good, you grow together. The chances of your growing apart at 30 may be greater, interestingly, than you're growing apart from 20 when you can grow together. The more malleable years of one's life. Look, let's be honest. People get pickier after a certain age, right? It's not easier to marry after 40. It's more difficult. It's more difficult in finding somebody, and it's more difficult because you're fixed in your ways. If you're never married by 40, 45, that doesn't mean you won't get married. I have no statistical statement to make to you. But the truth is, I speak to singles a great deal, always have, and that's what they understandably say. Look, I figured out how to live happily on my own, and I'm not going to just let anybody in. But you are more likely to let anybody in when you're 20. You're not fixed in your ways at 20. You're fixed in your ways at 40. And even by 30, perhaps. None of these are guarantees. It's absurd to guarantee that high school love will work out. That's not my point either. But I don't poo-poo it as much as I think a lot of people do, and for reasons that I have been giving. All right, we go to Cave Creek, Arizona. Carlos. Hi, Carlos. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis. You've just kind of made a lot of the points I was going to make. I recently talked to an old high school sweetheart, and I don't think that those feelings ever really change. But having having that said, I'm starting a new relationship with a woman now. We're both in our mid-40s. She has children, a home, a life. I have one as well. I have a daughter who's had to move back in with me and a granddaughter. And when you're trying to make all that mesh together, it's pretty difficult. So,
why didn't you pursue the love of high school?
She moved away.
Did she know? Did she know how you felt about her?
Yes. Her feelings changed. She has a life now too, and I have no idea.
Right, and nor should you intervene, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But it is,
right. But your earlier point is truly important. They don't go away.
No, I don't think those feelings ever go away. And I've reconnected with other people that I've dated, and a friendship is really hard because you have all those old feelings.
Yeah, that's right. One subtitle of this hour might be my general motto: life is messy. All right, my friends, we have another segment to go. Male-female hour. It's why people subscribe to this program through Pragertopia. Get any of the hours whenever you want them. Go to Pragertopia at DennisPrager.com. We'll be back in a moment. Topic on the male-female hour today is high school love. And in case you think I am here just to advocate it, whereas I'm only advocating that it be taken seriously, I'm not advocating it. There's no such thing as advocating it. Let me take this call here from Denver and Doug. Hello, Doug of Denver. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
I started dating my future wife when I was 14. She was 13. We dated all through high school. Married at 18 and 19. Raised 2 children and divorced some over 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lack of intellectual maturity where, of course, there's a chance for success, but I suppose there's a chance for success in a prearranged marriage as well. I don't feel I made a wise decision in my first presidential election. I don't know why I would have made a wise decision when I was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm. Look, I'm very glad you spoke up because there's merit to what you say. That is the general approach, I think, that adults have toward high school love and that high school lovers ultimately marry, even if it's 4 years later. I have a slightly dissenting view. My view is it's who you marry more than when you marry. But nevertheless, what you say has a great deal of merit. It does. I'm not sure that whom we vote for and whom we choose to marry are fully analogous, but your point is very well taken, and that's why I wanted your call. And I wish you a much happier second marriage. Let's just quickly get to... I guess, what was it, line 2? Yeah, here we go. Laguna Beach, California. Ann, hi.
Hi, Dennis. It's an honor to talk to you. I've listened to you since Religion on the Line days.
Thank you.
I'm a 50-year-old mother of 3, and I was married for 18 years, and my boyfriend, which I hate, I wish there was a word because I don't like being 50 and having a boyfriend. I wish there was another terminology. We met in 4th grade. We were both held back in 5th grade. And we were high school sweethearts, and we reunited through friends after I was divorced, and he had been divorced for 5 years.
And are you getting married?
We would like to get married, but right now we don't want to blend our families.
Okay, but you want to get married. There you go. And there's my only point, but it's a big one. Please don't poo-poo the power and very potential life-fulfilling integrity of high school love. This is Dennis Prager. This has been the Male-Female Hour. Don't go away.
tomorrow on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager.
Want to come on the air, young man? Want to put on his mic? This is totally spontaneous. My older son is in from Florida. When he was a little kid, he'd come to my night show that I did in Los Angeles, and often would sleep during the show. David, welcome. It is a joy to have you.
Thank you. And I think that since that time, I've had to have radio or television or something on while I fell asleep. And I always wondered why.
Join us tomorrow to hear more on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. This has been Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Visit DennisPrager.com for thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs, and to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles.
Precious metals dealers come and go. This is Nick Grovich, president of AmFed Coin and Bullion. We've stood the test of time since 1983. With the flurry of coin and bullion dealers coming and going, how do you know who to trust and what to buy? At AmFed Coin and Bullion, we value educated consumers. We want to alert you to good bullion buys in the market and help you steer clear of the tricks and bad deals. Call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review. 800-221-7694 or AmericanFederal.com.